The Sharm El-Sheikh Peace Summit, convened on this day, October 13, 2025, did not emerge from a vacuum of diplomacy, but from the depths of a profound and devastating humanitarian crisis. For over 2 years, the Gaza Strip has been the epicenter of a brutal conflict that has left an indelible scar on the region. The war, sparked by events in late 2023, escalated into a prolonged and punishing campaign. The resulting human toll has been staggering, with Gaza's health ministry reporting a casualty count exceeding 67,000 Palestinians. The physical landscape of Gaza has been largely demolished, its buildings turned to rubble, and its infrastructure shattered, creating an urgent and overwhelming need for humanitarian intervention on a massive scale. The summit was a significant diplomatic event, marked by the presence of leaders from more than 20 countries and major international organizations. The proceedings were prominently co-chaired by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi and U.S. President Donald Trump, whose administrations were the primary architects of the preceding negotiations. Their leadership lent considerable weight to the event, signaling a united front from two of the region's most influential external and internal powers. Before the formal signing ceremony, the assembled dignitaries posed for a symbolic group photograph in front of a banner that simply read, "Peace 2025, capturing the aspirational spirit of the gathering and its forward-looking agenda. The list of attendees underscored the broad international consensus supporting the peace initiative. Alongside the co-chairs stood key figures such as Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Also present were high-level representatives from the United Nations, the Arab League, and the European Union, including EU Council President Antonio Costa. Their participation served to witness and endorse the agreement, providing a powerful image of global unity and a collective commitment to seeing the ceasefire through. The presence of leaders from Qatar, Jordan, the UAE, and Turkey further highlighted the crucial regional buy-in that mediators had worked hard to secure. Notably absent from the summit's main table were official representatives from Israel and Hamas, the direct belligerents in the conflict. This was a deliberate choice by the organizers, who structured the summit as a forum for international endorsement of a pre-negotiated text rather than a direct negotiation session. President Trump, when asked about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's absence, noted that Egypt was responsible for the invitations. While Egypt did extend a last-minute invitation to the Israeli leader, it was declined, with Mr. Netanyahu citing a coinciding Jewish holiday. This decision underscored the deep political sensitivities and the indirect nature of the commitments being made in Sharm El-Sheikh. The summit culminated in the formal signing of a comprehensive peace declaration. The key signatories were the leaders of the mediating nations, President El-Sisi of Egypt, President Trump of the United States, President Erdogan of Turkey, and Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. By affixing their signatures, these leaders effectively endorsed the agreement brokered to end the Gaza war, pledging their nation's political and material support for its implementation. The ceremony was a carefully choreographed moment of high diplomacy, designed to project strength and resolve. For his efforts, President El-Sisi awarded President Trump the Order of the Nile, Egypt's highest civilian honor, further cementing the U.S.-Egypt partnership at the heart of this initiative. The document signed at Sharm El-Sheikh is a multi-point declaration outlining the initial critical steps toward de-escalation and stabilization. Its first and most declarative clause is a bold proclamation that the Gaza war is over. This statement, amplified by President Trump's own remarks to the press, was designed to create a powerful psychological break from the cycle of violence. While experts view it as more aspirational than strictly factual at this stage, the clause serves as the agreement's foundational premise. It establishes a clear and immediate cessation of all military hostilities, creating the necessary space for subsequent phases to be implemented without the constant threat of renewed fighting. A second central component is the mechanism for a comprehensive prisoner and hostage exchange. This provision addresses one of the most painful and emotionally charged aspects of the conflict. The agreement mandated the immediate release of the remaining 20 living Israeli hostages held by Hamas for over 2 years. In reciprocity, Israel agreed to release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The exchange, carried out on the same day as the summit, was a crucial, confidence-building measure. The International Committee of the Red Cross facilitated the transfer as a neutral intermediary. The declaration also stipulates a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from parts of the Gaza Strip. This is not a full and immediate retreat, but a carefully sequenced pullback tied to other security and administrative arrangements. The initial withdrawal is intended to allow free movement of humanitarian aid and personnel within the devastated territory. Section 4. Echoes of the summit: regional and global reactions. The immediate reactions to the Sharm El-Sheikh summit were a mixture of declarative optimism from its architects, cautious reserve from observers, the conflict's primary parties. The mediating nations projected a strong sense of accomplishment. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi framed the summit as a victory for regional stability and a testament to Egypt's enduring diplomatic influence. Similarly, leaders from Qatar, leaders from Turkey. Their public statements emphasized the collaborative effort required to reach this point. They called for a continued international commitment to ensure the agreement's success. U.S. President Donald Trump, a central figure in the process, was unequivocal in his public statements, declaring,
"Gaza war is over."
During a speech at the Israeli Knesset just before the summit, he characterized the moment as the end of a long and painful nightmare. At the signing ceremony in Egypt, he reinforced this message, stating, "This is the day that people across this region and around the world have been working, striving, hoping, praying." These remarks were aimed at a global audience, intended to build momentum and project an image of decisive American leadership. The reactions from Hamas and the Israeli government were far more subdued and tinged with caution. While Hamas facilitated the release of hostages as stipulated, its public statements focused on the concessions it had secured, particularly the large-scale prisoner release. Section 5. The hard road ahead: 5 hurdles to lasting peace. The first and perhaps most significant challenge to implementing the Sharm El-Sheikh Declaration is securing the sustained commitment of Israel. While the current Israeli government has acquiesced to the terms of the ceasefire, deep divisions exist within the country's political establishment regarding the agreement's long-term viability. Hardline elements remain deeply skeptical of any plan that involves ceding security control or empowering Palestinian entities. The durability of the peace will depend heavily on the Israeli government's ability and willingness to adhere to the phased withdrawal plan and to cooperate with the oversight committees, even in the face of domestic political pressure or potential provocations on the ground. A second major hurdle is the persistent issue of Palestinian political unity. The agreement elevates the role of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza's future administration and in reconstruction, but its relationship with Hamas remains deeply fractured. For the peace plan to succeed, these two rival factions must find a way to coexist and cooperate within the new framework. Without a unified Palestinian front, efforts to govern Gaza, manage reconstruction, and engage in future political negotiations will likely be paralyzed by infighting. Effective monitoring and enforcement represent a third critical challenge. Ceasefires are fragile, and the potential for spoilers on both sides to reignite violence is high. The joint implementation committees will need a clear mandate, sufficient resources, and the political backing of the mediating nations to investigate violations and mediate disputes swiftly. Their credibility will be tested early and often. The sheer scale of funding required for reconstruction presents a fourth, monumental obstacle. Section 6. From paper to practice: Timeline for a fragile hope. The Sharm El-Sheikh Declaration moves from diplomatic pronouncement to practical reality through a phased timeline of next steps. The coming weeks are a critical test of its resilience. The first phase began on October 13th, the prisoner and hostage swap. 20 Israeli hostages were exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. That exchange was the agreement's first tangible deliverable, a confidence-building measure. The swap was overseen by the ICRC. Its smooth execution gives an initial glimmer of hope that both sides can meet complex logistical and emotional demands. Next on the timeline, phased withdrawal of Israeli troops from designated areas in the Gaza Strip. The process is due to begin in the coming days, and will be monitored by newly formed technical committees. Withdrawal aims to scale up humanitarian operations, allowing aid agencies to reach people in desperate need. Success will be measured by troop movement, improved humanitarian access, civilians returning to their communities. The technical committees, backed by the US, Egypt, Qatar, will conduct damage assessments and prioritize critical infrastructure projects. Projects include restoring power, water, and sanitation systems. This phase needs a massive influx of international aid and transparent accounting systems to ensure funds are used effectively for Gaza's civilians. The technical committees are the backbone of the process. They are joint bodies of mediating country representatives and technical experts from international organizations. Their mandate: handle on-the-ground withdrawal details, oversee humanitarian corridors, resolve disputes, and lay groundwork for Gaza's governance and reconstruction. Their effectiveness in the coming weeks and months will help determine if the peace holds. They bridge high-level commitments made in Sharm El-Sheikh.